Ellen Bishop here with Soul Heart Collaboration, talking with one of our speakers from the Infinite Possibilities Retreat coming up in October 4th, 5th, and 6th, 2024. We are so excited to have you, and we're excited to learn more about Aileen. Let me make sure I'm pronouncing it right. Aileen Amador Mezza. Yes?
Hello. Yes, you are. Hi.
Okay. So Aileen, tell us a little bit more about who you are, what you're about, kind of a little summary.
Absolutely. My name is Aileen Amador. Amador is my maiden name. Meza is my married name. But I do go by Aileen Amador Mezza. I am an author and mental wellness advocate. My first book I began writing in 2017. It was published and soft released, excuse me, in 2019. But I didn't publicly release it till earlier this year. And I've been doing some Barnes and Noble book tours. At the Americana in Glendale, I did one in LA. I did another one in Chino Hills. My book's public on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, other platforms online, iTunes. And it's called Look. This is the way it is. And it's basically my journey up until a certain point in my life. And me in first person, pretty raw, talking about some of the struggles I went through in my younger days, the challenges we go through. And yeah, pretty much, you know,
Love
it's very authentic.
Yeah, right. So who would your story appeal to, in the sense that, like, I have an idea of what that looks like, but could you tell us a little bit more about who's going to buy this book from you?
Right. So let me give a little synopsis, a cliff note version of what it's about. So the book's called Look, This Is the Way It Is, a perspective of life through the lenses of a very real chick. Hence that real chick being me. And I hashtag false perceptions. I hashtag mental health. I hashtag breaking the stigmas. I hashtag first God. And my story begins as a very sheltered young girl that grew up in California by, I don't say immigrant parents, because my father did come here, serve in the U.S. Army, but from Colombia, South America, and raised me. They came here for the American dream, like many immigrants do, right? People migrate here for that. They raised two daughters. I have an older sister. My dad raised us and my mother to, give us what they could not have, right? A lot of times what happens, though, is my parents were wonderful parents, but I think the generation they were was like, okay, they wanted to overprotect, and I think that's, a lot of parents are those helicopter parents, but I think especially when you come from another country, right? They wanted to give us the best because they couldn't have it. And they worked they had better positions, better opportunities when they came here in the late 60s, early 70s. So I was able to attend 12 years of Catholic school. I went to 4 years of all-girl high school. And I was raised in this bubble, but lack of better terms, a bubble of where, being in Southern California, being of Latin descent, my parents brought their culture with them here. And a lot of people do that. Problem was, I was kind of in a bit of a culture shock because in Southern California, you get a lot of mixed, different Latinos, mostly Mexican culture, which I love Mexican people, but I was raised very South American. And it was a bit of a culture shock when I was ready to kind of just spread my wings and leave my family. And what happened was, I applied to San Diego State and Cal State Fullerton in 1997 when I was a junior. And really, I was looking for freedom when I was applying to school. I was from Orange County, so the only reason I applied at Cal State Fullerton was encased in the summer. I decided to make a change and stay closer to home, but I knew in my head I wanted the freedom of, okay, I'm going to go to San Diego because at least it's far enough that I can still come visit, because I was a sheltered girl, but I was 17 and a half. So it is very directed to anyone that's speaking. I'm sorry, that is thinking of attending, all ages demographic. But I would say, please, if you're a mother or father coming, bring your child that's an adolescent going into high school, um, junior, senior, going into the world and thinking by the time they're 18, they're ready to be an adult. That is the biggest baloney, that I think we tell ourselves. And I think, and maybe our generation has kind of changed. These new kids, the new age kids, this generation, I'm sorry, is not so much about rebelling, because I am raising, I did raise a 22-year-old and also a 25-year-old. But back then I'm 18, let me get away, right? So that's what happened. I left my house when I was 17 and a half, attended San Diego State University. I didn't turn 18 till uh, I was an October baby, so I turned 18 when I arrived at San Diego State. And for me, I applied undeclared. I only thing I wanted to declare was my freedom. Really, at that point, it was just I remember my parents moving me in to my dorm, and they left me there, and I remember my roommate hadn't arrived yet. And so I was the first one there before the week of classes. But then a couple days later, she came, and she was this spunky girl that came in, and she was, I have to tell you guys this because it's just, it puts it more vividly for you guys just how in a bubble I live. She comes in and she's like, well, I love weed and I love Tupac. And I was like, okay. And believe it or not, like I knew people, I knew that drugs readily available. I did the dare graduation, say no to drugs, the after school specials. But it was like, wow, I'm really this is real, this is real life. And so long story short, she proceeds on her side of the wall. She starts putting up like a poster that says, I love Tupac, a big marijuana leaf, and my parents come to get me, come to visit me the next week. And you can imagine what happened then. But
They're like, oh no,
I
you're coming home.
on and on, because obviously the book has a lot, but I'm gonna give it back to you and see if you want to ask me anything. But in a nutshell, it's that demographic, that age group of where where you could either go either way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
When you're, I don't know, the sheltered, I come from that sheltered world,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I think a lot of parents need to understand that we need to let our kids be free so they don't rebel.
Yeah, yeah, I'm with you. I understand exactly what you're saying. I too came from a very sheltered environment, and when I chose to go to college, it was a culture shock. Uh, the movie that comes to mind is Son-in-Law. Have you ever seen that movie with
Ben Stiller.
no, not Ben Stiller. Gosh, I don't know why his name is escaping me. Anyway,
Yeah.
it's a funny movie about this girl from a farm town goes into the big city in LA, and Pauly Shore, that's his name, Pauly
Oh
Shore.
my God. Yes.
Right?
It's
Oh my
phenomenal.
gosh, so funny.
Yes.
And so he's like the in his sixth year of college, still not knowing what he wants to do, and he's the resident advisor, and he just like loosens up this young girl who's very sheltered and very prim and proper. And anyway, it's far more of a clean cut story than I think you or I experienced in college. So just
Yes.
leading to that, I know that you went through some drama and a lot of trauma and came out on the other end. Let's just kind of fast forward to modern times when you're a huge advocate for mental health and stability. So this book that you've authored has has a lot of that, a lot of the support, and, kind of like, here's my story. If your story is similar, you're not alone, first of all, right? There's that
Mhm.
lovely element to telling our story. And then you come out as a mental health care advocate. So talk a little bit more about the mental health aspect of what it is that you're doing out there in the world.
Well, let me fast forward to what happened after. Obviously, I was 17 and a half freshman. I stayed in San Diego for about 2 years, a year and a half. Again, I dabbled in things that my parents thought I probably would never touch, and that I even said I never would touch. So it was the first time I smoked weed. It was the first time I experimenting with methamphetamine. In 1998, after a college party, I had experimented on a third occasion. This was the third occasion with psilocybin mushrooms. And for anybody that doesn't know that, that's shrooms, aka shroom. And I had a bad episode on those mushrooms, where one of those experiences that takes you to just, you're stuck, in your trip. I didn't come off. My other friends came off the night. We were 19 years old the night we did them. The next day they slept off. I ended up walking out in the street naked in a blanket, um, thinking the end of the world was coming. I got taken in by San Diego PD. Um, this is the reason I'm an advocate, because I was taken in 5150, not knowing what that was, just that I was in this state of mind that I know I was just some college girl that was, you know, stuck on this trip. But at the same time, the perception of law enforcement was, she's not okay. Now, I wasn't, for any of you that don't know what 5150 is, that means you're a danger to yourself. It's Penal Code 5150. It means you're a danger to yourself, or to society. So your rights are taken from you when they take you away like that. I think that's where I had my epiphany, being taken in 5150, being put in a room with four walls and um, a door, with a little window, and just being like, oh my goodness, I'm not crazy. And I think that's what opened my eyes to, you know what, this could happen to anybody, and slowly, I will say this, because my parents, who came from another country, had better resources in the sense of they had private insurance, I was able to be taken out of that hold into private facilities. And the reason I could live to tell this story is because on the cover of my book, I have the doctor that treated me 28 years ago. His name is Dr. Michael Larden. He wrote the foreword of my book, and it's because my parents had Blue Shield, Blue Cross. They had better insurance, where I got to get out of that hold. I got to seek the resources the field had. I didn't have to depend solely on county mental facilities, or, there's so much that I want to do for humanity. I was my own advocate, and I want to be able to give that, back. Uh, I'm not by all means, don't have all the resources, but I'd like to give the tools, and share a bit about, what I did to get here. And a lot of it, also was very traumatizing, because when you get taken into a mental facility, uh, and your peers and your family know, it's like, oh my gosh, Aileen's crazy. She went crazy. And it's like, no, 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 I'm not crazy. You don't know what happened. What You don't know crazy until you've been there. And I think that is why my passion is to help on this side of the fence, whether it's the 51 or the 50 side, whatever. We don't need to get there. No one needs to get their rights taken away. We need to be loving. We need to spread love. We need to hear out our peers, our family members. Uh, it is My foundation's called Amador Foundation. My maiden name is Amador. Um, the root word in Amador is ama. Ama means amor, love. And as cheesy as it is, that's what we need when we don't write off the friend that is suicidal, and we don't write off the family member that's out there. No, you listen to them, you love on them, because I have to say that that's what happens later on. You're like, oh, they were crying for help. They were, they needed help. Oh my gosh, if I was there. And I think I have to say that I had a loving mother and father. And I don't think everybody, I don't think that we all come from that, families that are loved. We see the homeless on the street, the veterans, what they've been through. Um, they just need love. And so my whole thing is to build an organization, my nonprofit, which is a startup right now, that kind of would be like an Angie's List with various other organizations already kind of, you know, um, I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel, just kind of a directory in different counties, in different states, um, of resources, nonprofits that are already doing, being a resource, because I don't think there's enough of that. And I feel my story and how authentic and real I am about sharing it, and I don't sugarcoat anything, will give people the freedom to share theirs, and to also acknowledge and say it's okay to not be okay. For the longest time, I thought I was crazy, and really, I mean, we're all a little crazy if you really think about it. That's that in a nutshell. That's, I think, what I want. The message I have for people is that it's okay to not be okay.
Yeah.
We all have bad days. I think sometimes not even sometimes, we're so used to wearing this mask and pretending. I read a meme the other day that said something about, it's okay, if people don't like you, because, you know, they're struggling to like themselves.
Yes.
And I think it's because we're so focused on thinking we need to be a certain way. And I don't have my book up, a copy of it right now, but the cover of my book has two eyes. I don't know if you have it nearby,
I'm like,
but
I have it. Where is it?
yeah,
It's so
it
close.
has two eyes, and one of the eyes has a bruised eye. And it's because I think that anybody, you know, that's walked in shoes that have, you know, of some type of trauma or trial in their life, that they've overcome, and they get back up, and the moment you get back up, there's somebody, a family or a friend, just ready to punch you in the eye and tell you, oh no, you're not. And that's life. That's basically what the book's about. It's like, look, life is going to hit you
Yes.
with something, and just when you're getting better, it hits you again. And I don't want to go into, my most recent trial, but in the midst of, I'll end with this, and you could ask me more questions, but in the midst of launching my book in 2018, my late husband was diagnosed with brain cancer, and I put this on hold for many years. He ended up passing in 2020, but it's just to prove that, look, you can be living the dream. This is a dream come true. I wanted to write my book, and I had all these plans, and then one day my husband comes home from work with headaches, and my whole life got turned around. And I think the world needs to know that we're not immune to bad things happening to good people, as sad as it is. And basically that's the message. The message is like, look, it's okay. You're going to get through it. And here I am. It'll be 4 years that my husband passed. I'm a young widow. I lost him when I was 42. I have two little girls, and I'm doing it. It's almost as if the trauma I went through writing this book led me to have the tougher skin to endure this. And I think that's what life is, right? I
Yeah.
think we need to realize we're on journeys, and some people, get off earlier, right? I have to, as hard as it is for me to accept, my husband's mission was complete, right? And now we're left. So basically, my passion is to empower, to advocate about mental wellness. And when I say mental wellness, is really balance, whatever it takes to get you balanced, right? No one's going to be perfect. You're never going to get stressed. You're never going to get anxious. You wouldn't be human, right? You're never going to get depressed. But I think realizing those triggers, right? Those triggers, and having a better balance on your life.
Love that. Love that. hold that thought for just a second.
Okay.
Okay. So I popped off and grabbed her book so that you can see the cover of it, because it's this is, I'm sure this is a labor of love, and it brought a lot of feelings to the surface. But what happens when we bring feelings to the surface is we work through them, right? We work through them, and we work on who we are as a person in that inner space.
Mm-hmm.
Whew, heavy. But when you release it, it's like this huge weight is taken off.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Awesome. I'm so glad that you wrote this book. I'm so glad you wrote it for you. I'm so glad you wrote it so that you can give others who may not feel like they can share their story because their story is too much or too whatever for their family or their friends or themselves even sometimes.
Absolutely. I love
It just gives
that
you
too.
permission, right? Yeah. Yeah. I love it. Love it. So thank you for doing that for yourself and for others so that they can tell their story. I think
Yeah.
that's so important. When it comes to your nonprofit, I love that you shared about that. It was totally going to be my question, so you led yourself right into the next question.
Mm-hmm.
Love that, and love what you're creating there. Just not reinventing the wheel, just gathering everything into one place so that it's easy to find. I agree with you. That's something that's kind of lacking in our
Mm-hmm.
systems out there. What led you, if that's the right way to ask it, what led you to say yes to doing this this retreat and being a speaker for us?
Well, first of all, right now I'm in a place in my life that doors have been opening, and like I said, I'm on a book tour, so been getting exposure in different communities, and I do have a great mutual colleague that obviously that introduced us, and I'm very blessed that he
Shout
did.
out to Lewis.
But yes, and
Oh,
it's about getting it out there. My message. I love.
all right. So I popped off and got her book just so that you could see the cover of it. Aileen, I'm so glad you wrote this book. One of the things that I was saying is you telling your story gives others permission to tell their story. And when we kind of keep our mouths shut and we keep it to ourselves and we don't share, we kind of close off that little door of our hearts too, in my personal experience and in my opinion. And so this allows you to open your heart. It allows others to have that permission to open their hearts too. And so it goes right back into what you were talking about earlier with your and more foundation. And yeah, so talk more about. I love that the Amador, right? Amador Foundation, it brings the list together so that we can have a resource to reference that has lots and lots and lots of options of how to look up things and where to look and how to find what you need to find in order to be an advocate for yourself. Talk a little bit more about, like, you have a couple of different things in the works. We have a mutual friend. You had just said that. We'll give him a shout out. What, Luis Vega, right?
Luis, yes, Luis Vega.
Yeah.
Thank you, Luis.
Yeah, yay, we love you.
Yeah.
And so talk a little bit about why you said yes to this experience, being a speaker.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So yes, Luis, who's actually been heading up my Barnes and Noble book tours, and we're going to be doing more events sponsored by my nonprofit, which are not retreats similar to this, but this actually is one of the first ones that I got invited to. So that's actually number one why I've been putting myself out there, and I'm at a place in my life that it's about getting my story out. I'm just passionate. If the opportunity presents itself, and it's a match, which Jamie and I were a match when we met. I, this is, I'm doing this by all means because for me, sharing is still a lot of healing for me. Meaning, not that I'm not healed, meaning that there is power in sharing your story. I think people don't understand that we keep things bottled up, but it kind of gives me purpose when I'm here doing a Zoom interview and talking about it. It gives life purpose. It gives these trials and these tribulations we've gone through, it gives our life meaning and purpose. That's the number one. I will accept any invitation that I feel led to, because it's exposing me to a whole new crowd in Arizona or online or wherever, um, because that's my main mission. Is, hey, you know what, God, this happened for a reason. Someone needs to hear this. You also, nothing that God does, he does in vain. There's, like I said, there's a purpose in everything. I have to believe, and I do. I definitely, there's something that comes, and I'm sure as well, Jamie, sharing your personal story. Uh, there's something so encouraging and so rewarding when you can share it in a platform
Yeah.
like this, right?
Yeah, it feels to me it's healing in general, personal healing, and I'm talking about personal growth and development. It's the same as professional growth and development. You don't learn it just once. You learn it
Yes.
and then you learn it again, and then you learn it in a new way, and then you continue to learn it. It's like this, onion or rose. My friend Cindy Rose says that it's like a rose. As the first petal drops, you're still growing from the middle, and you
Mhm.
still are
Love.
blossoming into this beautiful
Yeah.
organism that's here on earth trying to teach others how to, avoid the pitfalls and difficulties of life, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it fills you up, but it also serves your community and the world around you through story,
Yes.
which
And pretty much, because there's another, I'm going to answer that question too, why I accepted, because my book is my business card to share my story, right? I think I told you at the meeting, when we met for coffee, I said, hey, becomes a New York's bestseller, amen. That wasn't the mission, I had. That's why I went with a smaller hybrid publisher. It was just to get my story out there, right? The rest, um, it's God, the universe, whatever comes out of this, right? So I believe the more I put myself out there on the front line, right, sharing my story, why not accept this wonderful opportunity? And as you know, I look forward to this not being the first, but hopefully the first of many collaborations we do as
that's
well,
great.
Jamie, because I love all you're about. So that's a whole other reason. So yeah, I definitely believe it was just a match. It was just meant for me to accept this. And I look forward to meeting and seeing everyone on October 4th, 5th, and 6th. I believe I'm speaking on Saturday the 5th at
Yes.
9:30. Looking forward to seeing you meeting me online or in person. As of now, I do plan to be in person in Scottsdale.
Yay, we would absolutely love to have you present and in person. That's huge. That's huge. Um, all right, so we've talked about some pretty heavy stuff, and while we love the heavy stuff because it helps us grow and it helps us get to the root of where the challenges in our lives lie so that we can grow into bigger, healthier, better humans. Let's
Yes.
shift gears and let's talk a little bit about some fun stuff. So,
Hmm?
kind of the dreaming in life. So, if you could imagine your book tour, and maybe it's your book tour, maybe it's just you going with friends or family somewhere in the world, what's kind of on your bucket list, and maybe why is it on your bucket list? Where would you go?
The first country that comes to mind, because I spent a lot of time in Europe when I was in my early 20s, but I didn't make it to two countries that I really wanted to go to. And one was Greece. I so want to make it to Greece. And I didn't make it to Spain either, but I made it to various other, countries. Greece, there's something about Greece. Maybe it's because I Greek mythology is something that I really was very intrigued with growing up and reading about it. Maybe that's what it is, but I have this like thing that I want to go to Greece.
Nice.
So I think that the one thing that um, I think stands up is Greece. I definitely would love to go to Greece one day. I've
Love that.
traveled other, but I think Greece is the one that comes to mind.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah. You know what?
you know,
Greece and Spain both have very welcoming, warm, loving people. And I
yeah,
just like, yeah, they, so if you're from Greece, if you're from Spain, y'all are doing a great job out in the world there. I love, love, love what you're creating.
right. And I think about my great Greek wedding and all that, and how it's interesting. My family's Colombian, and I think we're spunky and funny in a different way, like too. So maybe it's
Absolutely.
this. Yeah, I mean, most anything. I'm just intrigued by Greece. I think I've always been. Maybe the Greek gods, the Greek mythology. There's part.
Yeah.
I like that whole history. Maybe there's a lot of history there,
Yeah.
because the other history I love, and I'll go back and back, is Italy.
Oh,
Italy,
yeah.
I love. I love. There's nothing. Rome's like my favorite.
Yes.
So I like going to countries that have that, those ruins, that history.
That rich
So I
history.
feel there's a
Yeah.
lot of history in
Nice.
Greece.
Love, love, love that. All right. So let's see. What other question can I ask you? All right. If another question that came up a couple of times. If you were a color, what color would you be and why?
Oh, awesome. Okay, so see, the first one that came up is yellow. Isn't that great? And I'm wearing yellow. And
Love it.
maybe as as cheesy as this is, my name Aileen, in Irish, I believe it's Irish Gaelic, means light.
Does.
Um, and I think like I like anything that's bright. And a lot my mission, I think, with my story is to be light. And it also reminds me of like a sunflower, right?
Yeah.
um, I love things that are bold, that are light, I guess, maybe. So I think yellow. I was
Love
like
it.
yellow.
I love it.
And
That's a perfect
my
answer.
my mug's yellow today, yes. Yeah,
It just so happens to be shocking, right? You didn't even know I was going to ask that question, which is great.
I know, but I do. Yellow is one of my favorite colors. My
Yeah.
my favorite combo is red and black, but I don't think I want to be red and black.
Yes, yes,
It-
that's the
it-
power. That's the power combo, right? The business
yes,
power.
yes,
And listen, all the colors are within all of us. And we shine some of them a little bit more brightly than others, given
yes.
the moment and
That's basically
time.
yellow
And
to me, is like shine, light,
yes,
star.
yes,
So maybe
love that.
that's kind of humbly saying I'm blessed and I'm humbled
Yes,
that is my calling, to be light and share my
love.
story in the
Yeah,
midst,
you
and my own.
are. You're already
There's
doing that.
Thank you. And I know there's people that have been through worse things than me. That's another reason why we need to be more transparent and more authentic and more real and share, because until you share your story, you don't realize that someone's Goliath is maybe worse than what yours you thought your Goliath was, right?
Yeah.
We're, the magnitude of what we can handle is different for everybody. A lot of people are like, "Oh my gosh, she lost her husband. She's a young widow, and I would never be able to do that." I didn't ask for that, first of all. You know what I'm saying? God knew I would be able to overcome that, but I think people go through their own things that I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I don't know how you went through that," right? Um, Losing a child violent. There's so many things
So
that,
many.
life is not easy.
No.
Life is not easy. So I don't know if I brought that up just in retrospect. I don't know why.
Yeah,
I
no, it's
I
absolutely true. Each of us is on a journey, and the
mhm,
journey is I think whether we enjoy the journey or whether we're frustrated by it or whether it's a big thorn in our side the whole time, it's kind of that perspective. It's how we're looking at any given situation in any moment. And it's not
mhm,
easy to see the positive side of any of this, of
mhm.
any of the challenges. It's not easy at all. But
We just have
I
we have
hope
to.
what we're all striving for is How do we see this in a positive light? How do we spin this for ourselves and our community to be the best thing that it can be, the best version of itself? Yeah.
Yeah, and one of the things is that I'm an extreme optimist and a visionary, and I think that at times um, I wish that I can train people to envision a season in their life, a future where there is that light at the end of the tunnel. I know when we're going through the dark tunnel, we see no light, but uh, for us that have overcome, like even yourself, our challenges and our tribulations, you have to believe there's some light, right?
Yes.
Um, if you don't believe there's some light, yeah, you're gonna stay, in that tunnel. And I think that's really what I want to do, is really just want to, it's okay to be in the dark tunnel. You got to go through the tunnel though to get to the light. And I think people
Yes.
just give up, right? They
Well,
don't realize.
and depending on what it is that their challenge is, it's understandable. We
No,
do not
absolutely. And that's
advocate for giving up. We advocate for keep swimming.
yes, go through
Just
it.
keep
There's
swimming.
exactly, there's no other way to get through it. Someone I heard
Yeah,
this one. There's no way
exactly.
to get through it but to go through it. You got to
Yeah.
go through.
Oh my gosh. Yes, brilliant.
You got to go through it. That's not mine, so I don't know. Don't quote it. I heard it. There's no other, but it's true. You have to go through it, and I think as hard as it is, it means being tough. It means powering through. It means there's no other way, right?
Yeah.
There's yeah.
Well,
It's
and there's no other way, and it doesn't have to be complete blackness. All
yeah,
of us are around, and God is there. If you believe in Jesus is there, if you believe in, angels or light, whatever you believe in, all you need to do is ask for help to
yeah,
get you through this very moment,
yeah.
each time.
Whatever your being is,
Yeah.
yes, I'm raised Catholic, I'm Christian, but your higher being, there
Yeah.
is a higher being, whether you believe it's science, the energy, I'm not going to sit here and tell you whatever you call out to,
Yes.
you,
Voice.
you're being heard, your energy, you can manifest. I think the power within us is what people don't understand. Um, we're all gifted and we're all given this certain type of energy, but it's finding that, and I think when we go through so much in life, like your energy just gets strained, and that's understandable. And some people just need that person to be like, it's okay, where the world's telling you, no, get up, and sometimes you don't want to get up, sometimes you just want to stay in bed all day. It's okay, it's
Okay.
okay.
Yes.
But
Grace.
like,
Word grace
there's
comes to mind.
somebody telling you you should do it this way.
Yeah.
And I'm that person that's like, you know what? You're not walking in my shoes. I don't want to walk in yours. I have this thing like, you don't want to walk in my dirty shoes. Who wants to walk in anybody's shoes? Nobody. I mean, when was the last time you borrowed anybody's shoes? I always say it's kind of gross. You don't want to walk in my filth, right? Yeah.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. All right. So if somebody wants to reach you or connect with you or buy a ticket to this event from you,
Yes.
where do they go? What's your website or email?
You can go to info.amadorfoundation@gmail.com right now. That's info.amadorfoundation@gmail.com. You could also find me on social media, Facebook and Instagram. We're in the process, me and my marketing team, of our two websites we're designing for my book and the foundation. So they're under construction at the moment. So I won't give those out right now. But definitely, feel free to message me. I try to get back, if you message me, friend me, I'll try to get back. Just introduce yourself and tell me you're somebody that may be, attending online or being in person at the retreat. I'm so ecstatic about this opportunity. Thank you so much, Jamie. I'm just,
Yeah.
I just know it's going to be great.
Thank you. So if you want to join us for the retreat, or when you want to join us, because I know you already do, If you've stayed on this long, Lord knows you want to. We are going to be in Scottsdale, Arizona physically. We're also going to be physically, I just found out, in Scotland, UK. One of our speakers is going to host a gathering there. And then we'll be, of course, online, over Zoom. You can join us by Zoom live. Even if you're busy that weekend, you can still buy a ticket to get the recordings of everything. So just participate, support the speakers, support yourself, support your personal and professional growth through soul-heart collaboration, or reach out to Aileen Amador Mezza. Is that how they find you on social media?
Yes. Aileen Amador Mezza. That's exactly how you find me.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Love it. Thank you.
On
Thank you so much
right now, Barnes and Noble online. I'll be.
Oh yeah.
It's in Scottsdale. I'll have some, but feel free. Go purchase my book on Amazon, Barnes and Noble online. It's on iTunes, ebook, hardback, paperback.
Love it. Love it. Thank you for being here, and